You're welcome back. So he may have passed on, but his memory very much still lives on. Well, on the 24th of July in 2012, the former President John Evans Atta Mills kicked the bucket. But you see, he was an ardent supporter of Accra Heart of Folk. He never said die. So we never say die to the memory of late former President John Evans Atta Mills. We're discussing the John Evans Atta Mills Memorial Foundation. My guests this morning are Dr. Cadman Mills, brother, to the late president. And there's also Marjorie Ama, who is representing Evictors Africa. We're discussing the foundation and, some activities they have lined up for the anniversary celebrations. Good morning. I'm not sure whether to smile or be morose, because I'm awash with nostalgia.
No, you have to smile.
I should smile. Okay, I'll try. But yes, I remember we're going to discuss your fondest memories of former President Mills. I remember how he epitomized humility. I keep saying it remains unmatched, you see, because you could sense it not just in his mannerisms, but in his utterances. And to date, nothing and no one beats that. What are your fondest memories?
My fondest memories of him are obviously as a brother, as somebody who I had no choice but to play with when we were very young, as somebody who I competed with, as somebody who played practical jokes on me, and when I could retaliate, I played practical jokes on him, as somebody that I grew up with, that I loved, that often advised me and often supported me.
Who was the better of the two? Okay, the nicer of the two. Be objective.
You are asking me something which is impossible.
And you're on national TV, so.
I am on national TV. I would like Ghanaians to know that as far as I'm concerned, I was the nicer of the two. But I'm also realistic enough to realize that Ghanaians prefer him. That if I'm really to be objective, then I have to say that probably he achieved more in life than I will ever dream of achieving. And yes, so he was the nicer.
All right, so let's discuss the foundation. And I mean, like you mentioned, I think I can make reference to Nkrumah, how we say Nkrumah never dies. I think we can say same for former president. I can't even say late president, it's hard to say it, but late former president John Evans Atta Mills. What inspired the establishment of this foundation?
No, when unfortunately he passed away 4 years ago, Mrs. Ernestina Mills and I thought that we really couldn't let his memory die. So we immediately founded the John Evans Atta Mills Memorial Foundation. The foundation tries to basically pattern itself, even in its mode of operation, never mind the focus of activities, around the personality of President John Evans Atta Mills. We target education, of course, of youth, because he was very committed to the youth.
Yes.
But not just any youth. We target the special needs people. We define special needs also to include, of course, physically impaired, hearing impaired, visually impaired, but also poverty and extreme poverty. So in addition to supporting special needs children, we define our special needs to include lack of resources and poverty and things like that.
Last year, I remember the foundation rolled out its activities by first sponsoring, I think it was a batch of 10 students, and they benefited from the Educational Lifetime Program. It's a scholarship scheme.
Yes, we do have various scholarship schemes. One is the Atta Mills Scholars.
Okay.
This year we had targeted 10 students In fact, we ended up with 5. And
How so?
well, the selection criteria for that is very, very difficult. In addition to it, the foundation makes a commitment, lifetime commitment,
Right.
through whatever level of education that they find.
That's Herculean.
It's Herculean. And up till the second degree level, master's degree level.
I see.
So it's a long-term commitment. It requires the foundation to put aside a certain amount of resources to judiciously invest it,
Yeah.
so that it generates enough resources to be able to meet our commitments.
Yeah.
And we felt that if we focus too much on that, the reach of the foundation would be extremely limited. But in addition to that, the 5 Atta Mill scholars, as we call them, we sponsor close to 100 students.
How did you even come by them? I want to know how the scholarship is administered.
Very easy. We go to schools and we just say to them, please give us the list of your 10 best students who haven't
But
been
needy.
haven't been able to pay for their school fees.
Oh.
We don't want to define what is needy and not needy. They have to demonstrate that indeed they are performing very well, but they are having problems paying for their school fees. So we pick up the tab.
So from what schools did you?
Well, we chose Achimota because
Okay.
Professor Mills went there. I actually went there too.
The Motown is really brag, yes.
Eburi Girls High School. Mrs. Ernestina Mills, who is also a co-founder of the foundation, by the way, taught there for a very long time. We have 2 schools in the central region. One is called T.I. Ahmadiyya, I think it's, and then there's another one called Gomwa in Gomwa region. We identify them because they were located in particularly poverty-stricken areas. We had ambition of supporting about 40 students from Infant Sepim, Adisadal, Holy Child, and Wesley Girls. It didn't work out for reasons that I found a little intriguing.
Well, because you don't take applications from individuals.
We don't take
Yeah.
applications from individuals. We just simply go to the schools and we indicate to them that we would like to sponsor 10 of your best and most needy students. For the central region schools, we put another condition on it. Professor Mills had always thought that it was regrettable that we had such excellent schools located in Cape Coast, and yet people from the central region hardly ever got the chance to attend. In part, it could be because of performance, but in part also because of lack of means. And so we put a condition on it saying that we would support the students provided they came from the central region. We didn't do that for Eburi Girls High School. They come from anywhere, or from Achimota, not T.I. Ahmadiyya or Gumwa, but for these specific 4 schools, we insisted that they be from the central region. Somehow or the other, the schools were reluctant to do it. We appealed to Osabari Marquis Atta to talk to the schools, to explain it to them. Some of them said we should get permission from the Ministry of Education first.
I see.
And we said, no, that wasn't necessary. What we are doing is stepping in to take over the obligations of the parents that they are not able to.
Yes, I wonder what informs the qualms they have about the scheme.
Well, maybe.
Perhaps it's
I'm
political?
trying to be generous. No, I don't think
You don't
so.
think
I mean,
so?
you know, everybody knows that the Atta Mills Memorial Foundation is totally apolitical.
Is non-partisan.
Non-partisan,
yeah,
non-sectarian. And so that wasn't the real issue. I think it may have been the fact that, of course, we went to them also at the time where they were accepting students, because that's the beginning of the school year. Maybe they thought we wanted to influence their selection criteria.
Maybe. It's
don't
hard to
know,
figure out
but
what the reasons are. Yeah, but the foundation has committed some 500,000 Ghana cedis or so, correct me if I'm wrong,
Yeah.
to these educational projects.
Yeah, 500,000 Ghana cedis. We expect to disburse about 300,000 Ghana cedis this year. The rest, obviously, is to be invested to support the Atta Mill scholars.
Okay.
Because we make a lifetime commitment. to
Okay.
them, right?
And from where do you derive your funds?
So far, we have had private corporate sponsors. We started out with an endowment of about 150,000 US dollars, right? And that's what we've been operating on. I'm soon to start a fundraising campaign, but it's important that we finish the academic year. We account for the resources that has been given to us, have auditors look at it to make sure that indeed we've spent the money for the purposes for which we got it.
And so I'll come to exactly what projects you have undertaken aside the scholarship disbursed to these students.
Yeah. Did I mention the School for the Deaf and the Blind?
Well,
as one of the schools that we are very proud of.
Yeah, okay. Right. This before we came on air, but perhaps you can touch on that.
Yes.
No, because we know that Professor was a very fit man, except that at the latter stages of life, he developed some visual impairments, hearing visual impairments.
Yeah.
Perhaps that is reason why you support these children in Cape Coast?
Yes. It's part of the reason, but it also is in line with a commitment to special needs children, right? And so far we are supporting about 40 visually impaired and 18 students.
And by supporting you mean fees-wise?
We are paying,
okay.
Well, let's be clear.
Yeah.
Usually their education is highly subsidized by the government, and we applaud them for it. Unfortunately, the students are required, or their parents are required, to pay a certain amount for their feeding and everything else. These are students with special needs. Sometimes the parents are even ashamed of them, and so they put them there and virtually abandon them, right?
Yeah.
Or if the parents are not ashamed of them, they don't have the means to be able to pay something so symbolic. And so we took as many as were in that situation.
Okay.
And there were 40, I think, visually impaired and 18.
Okay. Okay. Now we can
in
bring
addition,
in...
we support their poultry farm.
I see.
Because it gives them hands-on experience.
I see.
Like that to get into
I see.
activities.
Marjorie, join in the conversation, because you're here to discuss the tennis tournament, and that's why we've, put you on hold for a while. But tell us about this tournament, Atta Males Memorial Tennis Tournament. I saw you this morning. I thought she plays tennis.
Unfortunately, no, I don't.
Oh, me neither.
Okay, so this is actually the second tennis tournament we are organizing. We had the first one, the clinics, early this month for children specifically.
Okay. Well, this is to whip up interest in tennis as a sport?
Yes.
Okay.
So what we're doing now is it's starting on 25th to 30th of July, and we're having the qualifiers being played on 23rd and 24th of July.
Okay.
Yes. We have participants going through to the next round, actually starting the tournament on the 25th. So those who are going to qualify are those going to start the tournament, which is on the 25th.
Okay. But you're representing the Victors Africa. What do you do?
Okay, so
exactly what is your role in all of this?
Invictus is a private investment company.
Okay. It's Invictus?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It is co-partnered by Kojo Mills, who happens to be Doc's son and the nephew of the late president. He is also a board member of the foundation, so that is why we are working with the foundation on this.
Terrific. All right, so Doc, I know you specifically focus on projects that the late former president initiated. Yes, what are some that you've worked on so far?
Really our focus is primarily on charity for the time being. However, there are certain activities that are very much in line with Prof's beliefs and objectives that we lend a hand to, or we support. One of them is obviously the tennis tournament, which is being organized by Invictus Africa. I mean, it's not really a main line of business, but we couldn't help but to support it, right? Prof was a very avid sportsman.
Yes.
We do believe that he actually played tennis, but he wasn't that good because I used to beat him. And he has always liked to support let's say the people who have not been as privileged as possible. And you know that basketball, tennis, and the other sports, except football in Ghana, are totally underprivileged. He would have loved to promote
and
tennis.
hockey.
He loved hockey,
Yeah.
and in fact we plan. I think Invictus Africa plans to organize basketball.
I see.
And in Ghana,
Yeah.
and tennis, of course,
Yeah.
you know, which I'm really happy with, and hockey. Under the foundation, we also have Atta Mills Cares, which is basically an initiative of Professor Atta Mills' son, Kofi Sam Atta Mills. What they do, very much in line with the Atta Mills Foundation, is that every 21st of July,
Okay.
which
Just tomorrow.
corresponds to his birthday, they choose a few institutions, orphanages, special needs schools, and they make charitable.
Which means they've already undertaken some projects in line with this.
Yes, they have
Oh,
many,
I see.
including, by the way, the School for the Deaf and Blind
I
in
see.
Cape Coast. So we try to synchronize a lot of the activities that we do so that we get the most impact, right, rather than to spread our resources all over the place. We would like to, but we haven't done so yet, support the Cape Coast Library, Atta Mills Memorial Library in Cape Coast, if we can. But we haven't done so yet because I don't think we have the resources to be able to do that now.
There's also the proposed John Evans Atta Mills Center of Excellence.
Yes,
Yeah.
I mean, that these are pretty
more
much
for the future.
More for
Okay.
the future and much
Okay.
more far
Okay.
fetched, yeah.
Okay. As well as the Slavery Museum to be constructed in Cape Coast, that
Well,
too?
that is a little bit outdated, right?
I see.
The Slavery Museum
Yeah.
is something that the Atta Mills Memorial Foundation supports a lot, you know, but it's not directly under our purview.
Under the foundation.
Under the
Okay.
foundation.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Cadman Mills and Marjorie Alma, who doesn't play tennis but is supporting. You're whipping up an interest in tennis. When are you going to take up the sport?
I will start
Very soon. We'll do it
yes.
together.
Yes.
Final words, Doc. Final words.
No, please attend the tennis tournament, not just because you're a player, but actually to watch it. It's an interesting sport, even though it's not as popular as football in Ghana. Secondly, listen, if we came here, it's not just simply to talk about this tournament, but to look for sponsorship for the tournament, right? It's an orphan sport in Ghana. It need not be. And we would like to promote it. I think if Marjorie can say, in fact, quickly how many organizations that we
Yes,
have, some
do.
of the
Do.
organizations.
Yes, okay. So we have Interplast, Stallion Tiger Security, we have KFC, Somutex, Zen Petroleum, and Invictus Africa, of course.
Of course.
Yes.
Atta Mills Memorial
Atta-
Foundation.
That had to come. Thank you very much,
Yes.
Dr. Cadman Mills, co-board chair of the John Evans Atta Mills Memorial Foundation, and Marjorie Alma from Invictus Africa. The whole time I said Invictus, she didn't correct me. All right.